In Scotland, two of the King of Scotland's generals, Macbeth and Banquo, find three witches. The witches see into the future, and give three prophecies. Two of them is that Macbeth will be promoted twice, to the Thane of Cawdor, and then to King of Scotland. The other is that Banquo's descendants will be kings, but Banquo isn't getting any kingdom himself. The generals want to hear more, as the prophecies were vague, but then the witches disappear. Soon after, Macbeth gets named Thane of Cawdor by King Duncan for his success in the recent battles. The king later states that he shall stay over Macbeth's castle in Inverness. Lady Macbeth, Macbeth's wife, receives the news about the prophecy of her husband getting the title and vows to help him become king, no matter what. Macbeth returns to his castle, but later immediately, King Duncan arrives. While King Duncan gets settled, Macbeth and his wife plot together to kill Duncan, but Macbeth being hesitant. When the time comes for the operation to kill Duncan, Lady Macbeth drugs the guards, making them unconscious so Macbeth can come in and kill the king. He is hesitant again, until hallucinates a dagger, thinking that it is the sign to go in and murder the sleeping king. Macbeth follows through, but immediately regrets this decision forgetting to frame the guards. His wife reassures him but scolds him at the same time, and frames the guards himself. Macduff walks and finds the body of the king. Macbeth kills the drunken guards in a display of rage and retribution. Duncan's sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, flee to England, fearing for their own lives, as they are blamed for the murder of their father. Macbeth becomes King of Scotland, but is haunted by his sins and what he has done to get to the throne. He remembers the prophecy that Banquo's descendants will obtain the throne and arranges for Banquo and his son Fleance to be killed. Later, Banquo is murdered, but his son escapes. Later at Macbeth's state banquet, Macbeth hallucinates and sees the ghost of Banquo and worries the attendees with his mad response. Lady Macbeth later dismisses the court and attempts to calm her husband, but is unsuccessful in the process. Macbeth, now basically mad, seeks out the witches. They give Macbeth three new prophecies. One is that he would be safe until a nearby forest, Birnam Wood, marches into battle against him. Macbeth reacts in an arrogant manner, as he thinks that would be literally impossible. The other prophecy is that he will need to not fear anyone born of a woman. Macbeth again reacts in an arrogant manner, which also he thinks that is impossible. The last prophecy is a vision. A procession of 8 crowned kings walks by, the last holding mirror. Banquo's ghost walks at the end of the line. Macbeth demands to know the meaning of the last prophecy, then the witches laugh and disappear. Lennox enters and tells Macbeth that Macduff has fled to England. Macbeth decides to send murderers to capture Macduff's castle and to kill Macduff's bloodline. Macduff is trying to convince Malcolm to return to Scotland and take down Macbeth. Malcolm is hesitant, then later agrees with 10,000 soldiers lent him by the English king. Ross later confesses to Macduff that Macbeth has murdered his family. Macduff is crushed with grief, and later assures to himself that he will inflict revenge upon Macbeth. Macbeth feels pretty comfy at his castle at Dunsinane until that he is told that Birnam Wood is moving towards him. Outraged, he goes to look at what is happening on the battlefield. Malcolm's army is carrying branches from the forest as camouflage for their assault on Macbeth's stronghold. Later in Lady Macbeth's bedroom, she walks in her sleeps and talks, then later tells the secrets on how Macbeth got the throne by a doctor who was watching over her. As the final battle is about to commence, Lady Macbeth commits suicide out of guilt. Macbeth hears of his wife's death and mourns. In the battle, it seems to be pretty one-sided. Macbeth's troops seems uninspired and don't want to fight for him. Macbeth later enters himself and gets challenged by Macduff. Macduff and Macbeth duel, and while talking during battle, Macbeth later learns that Macduff is the child of a caesarean birth, realizes he is doomed, and submits to Macduff, and gets his head cut off. Macduff triumphs and brings the head of Macbeth to Malcolm. Malcolm later declares peace and goes to Scone to be crowned king.